नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। शृण्वत स कथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनादस्तयवत्राणि विधुनोति श्रीसुतं नष्टप्रायसो भद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, verse 10 and 11. Verse 10. परित्यक्त गुण सम्यक् दर्शनो विशदाशयः शान्ति मे समावस्थानं ब्रह्म कैवल्यमश्नुते. Synonyms: परित्यक्त गुणः, one who is disassociated from the material modes of nature. Samyak, equal. Darsanaha, whose vision. Vishada, uncontaminated. Ashaya, whose mind or heart. Santim, peace. Me, my. May my. Samavasthanam, equal situation. Brahma, spirit. Kaivalyam, freedom from material contamination. Ashnute, achieves. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the heart is cleansed of all material contamination, the devotee's mind becomes broader and transparent, and he can see things equally. At that stage of life, there is peace, and one is situated equally with me as Satchidananda Vigraha. Purport: the Mayavada conception of Kaivalya and that of the Vaishnava community is different. The Mayavadi thinks that as soon as one is free from all material contamination, he is merged into the existence of the Supreme. The Vaishnava philosopher's conception of Kaivalya is different. He understands both his position and the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the uncontaminated condition, the living entity understands that he is the eternal servitor of the Supreme, and that is called Brahman realization, the spiritual perfection of the living entity. This rapport is very easily achieved, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. When one is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is immediately situated on the transcendental platform of Kaivalya or Brahman. Verse 11. उदासीनम् इवाध्यक्षम् द्रव्यज्ञानाक्रियात्मनाम् कूटस्थमिमम् आत्मानं यो वेदाप्नोति सोवनम्. Synonyms: udasinam, indifferent. Eva, simply. Adhyaksham, the superintendent. Dravya, of the physical elements. Jnana, knowledge acquiring senses. Kriya, working senses. Atmanam, and of the mind. Kutastham, fixed. Imam, this. Atmanam, soul. Yaha, anyone who. Veda, knows. Apnoti, gets. Sovanam, all good fortune. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone who knows that this material body, made up of the 5 gross elements, the sense organs, the working senses, and the mind, is simply supervised by the fixed soul, is eligible to be liberated from material bondage. Purport: this verse describes how one can become liberated from material bondage. The first point is that one must know that the soul is different from his body. The soul is called Dehi, or one who possesses the body, and the material body is called Deha, or the embodiment of the soul. The body is changing at every moment, but the soul is fixed. Therefore, the soul is called Kutastham. The change of body is enacted by the reactions of the 3 modes of nature. One who has understood the fixed position of the soul should not be disturbed by the incoming and outgoing interactions of the modes of material nature in the form of happiness and distress. In Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna recommends that since happiness and distress come and go due to the interaction of the modes of nature on the body, one should not be disturbed by such external movements. Even though one is sometimes absorbed in such external movements, he has to learn to tolerate them. The living entity should be always indifferent to the action and reaction of the external body. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the body, made up of the gross physical elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and the subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego, is completely different from the soul proper. One should therefore not be disturbed by the action and reaction of these 8 gross and subtle material elements. The practical process to attain this stage of indifference is to execute devotional service. Only one who constantly engages in devotional service 24 hours a day can be indifferent to the action and reaction of the external body. When a man is absorbed in a particular thought, he does not hear or see any external activities, even though they are enacted in his presence. Similarly, those who are fully absorbed in devotional service do not care what is going on with the external body. That status is called samadhi. One who is actually situated in samadhi is understood to be a first class yogi. End of purport. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचयने निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna everyone. Seeking blessings from all assembled Vaishnavas, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam today to purify myself. I'll just summarize both the verses 10 and 11. So we see in chapter 19 how King Prithu was doing 100 horse sacrifice, but he had to stop at the 99 sacrifice because King Indra did some atrocity. He was stealing the 100th horse every time. Finally, Lord Brahma appeared and asked King Prithu to stop the sacrifice because he is already a liberated soul. He is Saktavis avatar of the Supreme Lord and he doesn't need to perform all the sacrifice. Otherwise, Indra could have introduced more and more abominable acts. Now, in this chapter 20, this is about how Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena of King Prithu, and Lord Vishnu did not come alone. But King Indra also accompanied him. So Lord Vishnu is telling King Prithu that Indra tried to disturb him in his sacrificial ceremony. However, King Prithu is an advanced devotee and he should forgive King Indra. Actually, King Prithu was not doing the sacrifice for his own benefit. Rather, he was doing the sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, which is the main goal of sacrifice or any yajna. So whether it is 99 or 100, Lord Vishnu is already satisfied from King Prithu. Then the Supreme Lord is in this chapter 20, the Lord is describing the qualities of a good devotee and how this should not be affected by 3 modes of material nature. Their understanding about Atma, Paramatma, and even though everyone is engaged in some material occupational occupation, their purpose should not be material gain, rather they should offer the results of the occupational activities to Krishna. Our ultimate goal should be to please the Supreme Lord, because when the Lord is pleased with one's service, one's mission in life is fulfilled. So in today's verse 10, the Lord is saying, When the heart is cleansed of all material contamination, the devotee's mind becomes broader and transparent, and he can see things equally. At that stage of life, there is peace, and one is situated equally with me as Satchidananda Vigraha. So, Srila Prabhupada has given importance to word Kaivalya here, which means freedom from material contamination. For Mayavadis and Vaishnavas, the meaning of freedom from material contamination is different. The Mayavadi thinks that as soon as one is free from all material contamination, he is merged into the existence of the Supreme. But the Vaishnava's understanding is different. When we get freedom from material contamination, we understand our real position, that we are the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is the master. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhyalila 20.117 describes beautifully why we came to this material world. It says, Krishna bhuli se jiva anadi bahirmukha atveva maya tare deha samsara dukkha. The meaning is, forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy, this Maya, gives him all kinds of misery in his material existence. And the purport is very straightforward. I'll just read the purport. When the living entity forgets his constitutional position as an eternal servant of Krishna, he is immediately entrapped by the illusory external energy. The living entity is originally part and parcel of Krishna and is therefore the superior energy of Krishna. As living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, so we are the superior energy of Krishna. He is endowed with inconceivable minute energy that works inconceivably within the body. However, the living entity, forgetting his position, is situated in material energy. The living entity is called marginal energy because by nature he is spiritual, but by forgetfulness he is situated in the material energy. Thus, he has the power to live either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy, and for this reason he is called marginal energy. Being the marginal position, he is sometimes attracted by the external illusory energy, and this is the beginning of his material life. So sometimes we ask this question, why we are in this material world. So here is the answer. We're attracted by the external illusory energy, and that is the beginning of the material life. When Jiva enters the material energy, he is subjected to the threefold time measurement: past, present, and future. Past, present, and future belong only to the material world. They do not exist in the spiritual world. The living entity is eternal, and he existed before the creation of this material world. Unfortunately, he has forgotten his relationship with Krishna. The living entity's forgetfulness is described herein as anadi, which indicates that it has existed since time immemorial. One should understand that due to his desire to enjoy himself in competition with Krishna, the living entity comes into material existence. Very straightforward. It has all the answers that why we come to this material world. See, like how we are so rebellious and we want to enjoy ourselves and we're trying to compete with Krishna. That's why we are in this material existence. Again, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Dilila 4.165 says, Atmendriya priti vancha tare bali kama, Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare prema nama. The desire to gratify one's own senses is called kama or lust, but the desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is called prema, love. So King Indra was performing the sacrifice for his own sense gratification, that is kama, but Prithu Maharaj was doing it for the satisfaction of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. We also have kama, that's why we come to this material world. And once we'll get rid of all this contamination, we'll also become Satchidananda. Oh, Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Bhuktaram yajñatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarvabhutanam yatva mam santim rachati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. The conditioned souls within the clutches of illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than Lord Krishna. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shweta Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all the survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. So I'll quote another verse from Bhagavad Gita 3.27, which says, Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasahankara vimuratma kartaham iti manyate. So what this sloka means, like Jiva thinks he is the doer of everything. They don't know how, like, they are under the control of three modes of material nature, and Krishna is ultimately the master of material nature. So ultimately, whether we are Krishna conscious or material conscious, we are always under Krishna's control. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. So, this is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. Then, in verse 11, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, we have to understand that the soul is different from the body. The soul is called Dehi, or one who possesses the body, and the material body is called Deha, or the embodiment of the soul. Soul is eternal. Bhagavad Gita 2.20, it's mentioned as O Nitya Sasato Yam Purano Na Hanyate Hanyamane Sarire. Soul is Aja, means unborn, it's Nitya, eternal, Saswataha, permanent, and Purana, the oldest. It is never killed, where the body is being killed, where the body is like non-permanent. It is the representation of, it mentioned in the like translation, how we know we have to understand about the 24 elements. So the body is the representation of 5 gross elements. What are the 5 gross elements? Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Then 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, false ego. 5 knowledge acquiring senses. What are those? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. 5 working senses: voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. And then 5 objects of senses. What are those 5 objects of senses? Smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. And then unmanifested stage of 3 modes of material nature. Total 24. 5 gross elements, 3 subtle elements, 5 plus 3, 8, then 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 13, then 5 working senses, 18, then 5 objects of senses. Total is 24. And lastly, the unmanifested stage of 3 modes of material nature. So these are the 24 elements, and body is the representation of these 24 elements. Also, body also undergoes changes. Like, what are the 6 different changes of the body? First, the body is born, then it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage, it vanishes. Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Krishna says to Arjuna, that verse, Matra sparsistu kaunteya sitasna sukha dukkhada. That verse, it says, like, where Krishna is saying to Arjuna that the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. Like now winter is gone, spring is coming, then summer will come. Same thing, like when happiness and distress comes, they like come and goes in the due course of time. They arise from sense perception, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So I was listening a few days ago. I was listening on a class of His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, and in his lecture he mentioned that one's greatness is estimated by one's ability to tolerate the provoking situations. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Verse 1, it is said, Nayam deho deha avhajam loke kastan kaman arhate vidhujame तपो दिव्यम पुत्रका येन सत्वम शुद्धेत यस्मात् ब्रह्म सौख्यम तो anantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters also, like hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. So therefore, those who are true yogis or learn transcendentalists, they're not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasure, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. I was listening to my Guru Maharaj's class yesterday, the Chaitanya Siksamrita class, and Guru Maharaj told his doctor has suggested him, if he wants to improve his speech, then he has to observe maunam for a week. So his vocal cord will get some rest and it will improve his speech. Then Guru Maharaj said, how is that possible even? Like how he cannot even live without speaking about Krishna, forgets about maunam. So our spiritual masters are the examples of what we are reading in this purports. They're living 24 hours, always thinking about Krishna. This is my understanding from today's verses. I'd like to stop here. Then